Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to another Premier Draft of Kaldheim, one of my favorite formats. Really cool flavor here, really cool artwork, just love the theming of the Norse Viking mythology stuff. We've also got the return of snowlands in the format. That's a mechanic I love in draft. When you're playing any kind of snow archetype, you gotta spend some picks on the mana base to make sure you have access to that additional type of mana. So there's a lot of cool things going on in the format. There's great aggro decks like red-black Berserkers and red-white Boast that can use the Frenzied Raider, and there's really great late-game rampy decks like Snow decks that could be activating the Faceless Haven in the late game, or kind of slower, bigger decks like Blue-Red Giants, which is one of my favorite decks in the archetype, which could be why I might be picking Invasion of the Giants a little higher than I should be. But I don't love starting with a triple snow card right off the stop of the draft, or right off the start of the draft, and I didn't think any of those other uncommons were super great. But for pick two, we're just going to take a snow card this time around. Avalanche Caller is an absurd card. You obviously have to draft the snowlands to go with it, but being able to turn your lands into 4/4s with haste to beat down with later in the game is pretty ridiculous. This can single-handedly kill somebody pretty easily as long as you have the snowlands to go with it. Again, you do have to draft the basic snowlands even. You're not going to have access to those where you could normally put any number of basics in your deck. You can still do that here, but you can't put basic snowlands in your deck unless you drafted them. But this format has a lot of snow dual lands as well, and those are really high pickups because they're going to be mana fixing if you end up in any of those colors, and they're going to be the snowlands you need for cards like Avalanche Caller or cards with snow symbols in their mana costs like the Frost Augur. Since we're already starting with an Avalanche Caller, I think Frost Augur is a really easy follow-up. We want to draft a bunch of snow permanents and snow spells so that the Frost Augur can draw cards as consistently as possible, and the Avalanche Caller can animate lands as consistently as possible. Again, there's other places you can go in this format. It's not all snow-based, slow, grindy decks. There are green, snow-based, incredibly multicolored decks, but right now we look closer to just blue-red, which can be a little bit snow-heavy. And then again, great red aggro decks with cards like Fearless Liberator spitting out an army of 2/1s as you're attacking. I think the two weakest archetypes in the format are probably green-black elves. Never really panned out to play out that well, and neither did blue-white Foretell. Foretell, there's plenty of strong Foretell cards, like Dwarven Reinforcements is fine. You can exile this for 2 mana to be able to cast it for only 2 mana on a future turn. So instead of having to wait till turn 4 to play this, you could play it on turn 3 if you're not doing anything else with your mana on your second turn. So Foretell cards individually play pretty decently, but some of the cards that want you to foretell all the time didn't end up doing all that much. So pick 4 here. I'm honestly pretty happy to take a snow-covered forest here. Green is one of the most snow-prevalent colors, and worst case scenario, if you have a ton of cards that care about snow, you can even run off-color snow basics if you need snowlands that badly. So I like the snow-covered forest here when none of these cards are that premium, outside of cards for aggro decks like Battlefield Raptor and the 2/2/1 producing spell there. So I'm just going to get a snowland. Pick 5, we've got Gates of Istfell and Snowfield Sinkhole as the lands of this pack. Neither of those are super exciting. I think white is the most aggressive color in the entire set, so it's the color that gets the least benefit out of dual lands and snow lands and sack lands and stuff, and it's just the least prevalent snow color. So like a black-white Sinkhole, black-white snowland is going to be basically comes into play tapped colorless snowland for us for the most part. So I'm not that pumped about it. We could just take like a Firewalker here for if we do end up just a streamlined 2-color Giants deck. There are not a lot of cheap Giants, like Giants that cost 3 or less mana, so having some amount of random non-giant creatures earlier in the curve plays fine. For pick 6, now there's a snow-covered mountain. That's a snowland that is a relevant color for if we get to go blue-red, so I like that pretty highly. I also think Disdainful Stroke plays pretty well in the format. Obviously, if you're against the Boros aggro or the Rakdos aggro or anything like that. It's not going to be great, but there are plenty of slower decks, as I keep mentioning. All of the green mushy piles and blue-red giants and stuff, the stroke will play really well against. Could also take the Mirror Lake. If you take these spell lands really highly, you can have a pretty cool build where you get a bunch of dual lands and spell lands and end up playing like a 20 land deck because like 6 of your lands can get sacrificed as a spell later in the game if you need. Pick 7, black snow basic, and a replicating ring. Find snow cards, or we could just take Kinseekers towards giants. I like the replicating ring a good amount. It's a snow permanent, so we can draw it off of our Frost Augur. It provides snow mana for anything that needs it, and it is fixing for any color, which a lot of the snow decks end up playing pretty multicolored. Pick 8, Kinseekers and Craven Hulk are the 2 giants out of the pack, and there's nothing else here that's particularly good, so we take one of those. 2 wizards already. If we have our early game taken up by wizards, then maybe Kinseekers is flexible in playing well with early wizards or late giants. I think Kinseekers over Craven Hulk feels reasonable. It also keeps us deeper to blue than red, so that we can be like blue-green snow instead of blue-red giants, or some multicolored mush pile, if that looks like a better spot to be. And here's a card towards a multicolored mush pile, a pick 9 dual land that includes blue. Looks great to me as blue and green. Again, my 2 favorite snow colors, the 2 colors that benefit the most from snow lands. So any duel that has green as one of the 2 types, or any duel that has blue as one of the 2 types, is a pretty high pickup for me, especially with Frost Augur and Avalanche Caller already in the deck. Pick 10, Run Ashore is a fine way to top off the curve. Bounce 2 of your opponent's permanents, 1 to hand and 1 to the top of their deck. And again, we're much deeper into blue than anything else, so that looks super reasonable. Oops, did not want to cut that just yet. Disdainful Stroke here is pretty good. Could also take the Snow-Covered Swamp. Black has a decent amount of snow stuff as well. And we do have the 1 Ice Tunnel. Yeah, Avalanche Caller, Frost Augur. Let's go very snow here. We'll take the Snow-Covered Swamp. Pick 12, nothing much. Can grab the Vault Robber, because if creatures end up in grave, we can exile them and get the treasure tokens to ramp into our big late game plays. Or the Grizzled outright is just a good body for the mana cost. Both of those very filler. But we're at that part of the pack. Everything left is going to be filler. Alright. Pack 2, pick 1. We got an Icebind Pillar, a 3rd reason to be deep into snow. Get a full-on Icy Manipulator for 1 less mana. 1 mana, tap it, tap an artifact or creature, and it's only 3 mana to play it up front. This is a great control piece. It's going to be a removal spell you get to keep moving around. If they play better creatures later, you just keep tapping the better creature. So, Icebind Pillar is fantastic, especially with the Augur Avalanche Caller start that we have. So we'll grab that. Pack 2, pick 2. I do really like the Ravenous Lindworm. It's a great way to stabilize in slower green decks, and blue-green is one of the slower decks. That could be a spot that we're at, considering we only have 2 red spells. Our second color's still out in the open here. However, this rare is probably pretty decent. The Omen Keel, the vehicle part, doesn't look great, and the creature part's really slow. So 3 mana, play this, go to your upkeep, exile it, and then a few turns later, put her back on the board, draw a few cards. I don't know, really weird card, but it does seem decent. You can play this turn 3, and then a few turns later, get like a draw 3 out of it. That should be pretty good. Pack 2, pick 3. The 3 Seasons is one of the weaker sagas in the format. It's not super consistent. We are going to be somewhat deep into snow, maybe being blue-green as well, but even in that deck, you need to be really, really, really deep to get that to actually pick up 2 cards. Bergstrider is a much more consistent card, and it's going to be great in a blue snow deck or a blue-red giants deck, because it's that very relevant giant creature type, and it has a great ability when you spend snowman on it, stunning your opponent's best creature. Just going to take the Bergstrider there. Pick 4. Really not a lot in this pack for anybody. We could take a Brine Barrow Intruder, I guess. Just because we're so deep into blue that we know that we're playing that color. Maybe I can just take Gates of Istfell at this point. If we see Gates of Istfell and Hengegate Pathway, I did just say blue-white's one of the weakest archetypes in the whole format, but if it's what's open, and we get past a couple of Gates of Istfell and just some decent white removal spells, maybe that's a fine spot to be, some blue-white control pile of nonsense. Pick 5 shows us a bunch of white aggro spells and green snow ramp spells, which snow ramp stuff is definitely more up our alley. The Glittering Frost is great when you know you're splashing in a lot of different colors of stuff, but the Sculptor is a little better in a vacuum. If you're just a 2 or 3 color deck that doesn't really need a ton of fixing, Sculptor can be better just as the ramp that's also attached to a creature. So I'm going to take that here because, again, right now we're so deep into blue, it doesn't look like we're going to be splashing all over the place. Pick 6, Saw It Coming's a decent counterspell, although Arnie Slays the Troll is a fine fight spell if your creatures are big enough. Maybe green, blue, splash red, that would be fine. Horizon Seeker, good way to draw additional lands off that Boast ability. I like the Saw It Coming, the Horizon Seeker, Snow-Covered Mountain, and the Arnie Slays the Troll here. But I think we're so deep in blue, we'll take the Saw It Coming. Pick 7, there's the Augury Raven, just a solid creature for the mana cost out of blue. 4 mana 3/3 flyer, or you can foretell it, played as a 2 mana 3/3 flyer later. Although, again, Avalanche Color Frost Augur are really requesting snow lands. Try to have almost every permanent in our deck be snow to draw the cards more consistently. Yeah, it's an on-color snow land there. Pick 8. Mistwalker is great. One thing I know for absolute certain here is that blue's open. Mistwalker is fantastic in any blue deck. It's a great roadblock that can start swinging for lethal pretty quickly later. Pumping a bunch of mana into this to make it a 4/1 flyer. There's a Glacial Floodplain as well. I guess a Snow Duel. Yeah, on-color Snow Duel. Sure. Pick 9. Demon Bolt. Pick 9. Well, that's the best card in the pack. And it's our, first hard removal spell, surprisingly. Okay, these cards all kind of suck. Take a Snow-Covered Plains. Pick 11. There's the 3 seasons now that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 snowlands. This is getting playable. Not incredible, but playable. This is not exciting. Just take the colorless card, because no matter what nonsense is going on with our mana, it'll be castable. I mean, we've got a huge amount of snowlands here, which is great. Just don't really have the big payoffs. We have the great early game payoffs for them. We don't have, the big late game snow finishers here. So that would be what we're looking for the most out of this final pack. So let's see what we can get here. Icehide Troll is absolutely a snow finisher. Give it indestructible, attack with it for 6 to 8 damage in the late game, which is pretty insane. But another Demon Bolt also seems like a high pick because we are not very high on removal. And with the amount of snowlands that are flying around the draft pod, we should be able to wheel the Icehide Troll. But at worst, the Snow-Covered Mountain comes back because anybody who is playing snow is going to take the Shimmerdrift Veil or Icehide Troll over the Snow-Covered Mountain for sure. Pack 3, pick 2. Disdainful Stroke's fine. No finishers in the whole pack, so it's Disdainful Stroke or Snow-Covered Forest. The rate this draft has been going, we can take the Stroke and wheel the Forest, surprisingly. But that's kind of what was happening last pack, so we'll plan on wheeling the Forest. No finishers here, but some good removal. We probably have to take Frostbite. Fumarole is the bigger removal spell, but costing double red is a big cost when red is going to be our kind of splash color. Maybe green's our splash color, actually. We only have 3 green cards. Yeah, I guess we can just be blue-red. Weird draft here. The snowlands are so clearly just wide open. The snow finishers are just not arriving. Okay. Blue-red means Squash is going to be great, but also another Frost Augur with the amount of snow permanents we can get. Yeah, now that I have double Demon Bolt, Fumarole, Icespine Pillar, Run Ashore, Saw It Coming, Disdainful Stroke, I think I can take a Frost Augur over the Squash, because I have snow permanents out the wazoo. Here's another one. Undersea Invader's a really weak finisher. Mistwalker's a pretty strong one, but now I have double Augur. I feel like I get a lot of value off the Snow Mountain. And I don't think it wheels that late. Although, here's the Shimmerdrift Veil for free. Kind of bummed out by the lack of snow finishers here because of how easy it's been to get the snowlands. Maybe people are taking the snow finishers over the snowlands? In which case they're going to have a really bad time because they're not getting the lands. They're all clumped up here. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've been taking the snowlands over the finishers, but that's what you're supposed to do. You got to make sure you have that mana before those cards are going to play super well. But I guess I took the Avalanche Color and the Augur early still. Yeah, I guess the really good snow finishers you do take over the snowlands, but this late in the draft, I think people should just accept if they don't have enough snowlands, they should just pass the snow cards that are strong. Another Invasion of the Giants. Oh, Eyeside Troll. I mean, I did end up being like blue-red at this point. Yeah, another Invasion of the Giants. There's another Shimmerdrift Veil too, but I can't really spend too many more picks on lands or I'm not going to have a deck. At this point, I've spent so many picks on lands, I'm going to have to splash in probably a little bit of green at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 non-land cards. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to splash a little bit of green where a blue-green duel is gonna help. It's also the snow type for these 3 cards. Yeah, so 19, 20, 21, 22. One more non-land card. That means Snow-Covered Mountain's infinitely better than any of these non-lands, though. And this pack has, like, nothing. I guess we can play the Recluse. 23rd non-land. With enough sack lands that work as spells, you can run a lot more than 17 lands. You can run up to like 20, but we only have 1 spell land here, so I think we can really do that. Okay, I can play another Run Ashore. Glade Walker. Alright, well, weird draft. The snowlands were absolutely free, but we don't have a lot of good permanents, good finishers, and stuff like that. So just cut a couple filler cards. Gorn Effigy, Intruder. Kinseekers is pretty much never going to trigger. Recluse is filler. Yeah, basically all our creatures are just so filler. We're almost 100% on Avalanche Color as the win condition. Yeah, a little bit of a tragic draft pod here. I don't think any of our non-land cards are that bad, but honestly the Invasion of the Giants might be the weakest at this point. Because we just don't have the Giants to go with the invasions. But they're some of our only card selections, so we'll just keep them. Drop the effigy. Recluse, I think. Just play it more turtled up, more defensive here. Mana base is going to be a little all over the place, but that's fine. I believe in the heart of the cards. I'm going to say that Arena did a fine job at the default mana base. 15 blue cards, 6 red, 4 green. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it didn't. One, two. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blue sources, right? At least. Red is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Green is on 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we just have to cut these off color snow basics. And the gates to put a forest mountain, another island back in. And we still have plenty of snowlands. Beautiful. We will call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, and hope we can scrounge out some way to kill our opponent. We can control the game, we can survive, but how do we kill our opponent? We'll find out soon enough as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1, and this hand actually makes our deck look like it has a very cohesive strategy, which is not the case. So I'm pretty happy with this opener. We actually have a giant with the Kinseekers to cast for cheap off of the Invasion of the Giants. I need mana. So those get dumped. We poke for 1. Boros from our opponent, one of the most aggressive archetypes in the sets. The additional card draw allows us to hit the untapped land. We need to just immediately Fumarole the Frenzied Raider if we want to, but I think I'd rather just... Well, shoot, I was going to say I could foretell this thing, but then I'm not activating the Augur here. Yeah, because next turn I could, like, Fumarole a Raider and play a Kinseekers in the same turn, which is super mana efficient. I'm just going to set up for mana efficiency. Sorry, Frost Augur. Take my 2. Seize the spoils, discard a card, draw 2, get a treasure token. Love to see them not impacting the board yet. Okay, red source, Fumarole. Gives me 2 mana back, which means I can Fumarole and Augur and Kinseekers, I believe. Because this is snow mana, because this is a snow spell. Yeah, so snow mana. Boop. Reveal the Bergstrider and draw it. Good lord. Actually, Icespine Pillar, that's more mana efficient, and the Kinseekers doesn't... Oh wow, I could play Bergstrider. My god, I was going to say the Kinseekers doesn't trigger here. So I guess... Sure, we can Bergstrider their treasure token, which is one of the least valuable things to Bergstrider, but technically we're still getting a little value off of that, and more importantly, the mana reduction means we're getting a lot of power on the board early, and now Kinseekers does trigger, get its +1/+1 counter, and its scry when we play it. We also have the perfect mana to play the Kinseekers and hold up the Demon Bolt next turn. Alright, bind the Bergstrider in gold, but it is still a giant that's on our board, so it'll still trigger the Kinseekers, or a wizard that's on our board is the card type it shares. Don't really want a 2/2 at this point. I'm very dumb. If I kept that on top, it would have been a guaranteed draw off of Frost Augur. Disregard. We should have scried that to the top. I don't want a 2/2 that badly, but when I can draw it for free, it is worth it. But hey, I can draw the land anyway, because we have so many snow cards in this deck. Let's Demon Bolt the Valkyrie. I've got more than enough mana to Demon Bolt that and still do everything I want with my mana. I could absolutely see an argument for just Glade Walkering the counter onto itself to spread my threats around a little bit. That way, if they have another Bound in Gold to put on the Kinseekers, I'm still hitting for 2 a turn instead of just 1. Yeah, they've got the Bound in Gold. Yeah, we've got a weird deck here, but this game makes me feel pretty good about it. We're kind of just Frost Augur control. We've got the 2 excellent copies of Frost Augur, making sure that we draw almost 2 cards a turn every single turn. Just insanity. One flaw I could see is having a small enough amount of win conditions that we just mill ourselves out in a matchup against an opponent with a lot of removal. And that could be this matchup. Here's a Fuma roll on the Cosima. Although, them killing Cosima means we're not going to draw a million cards off Cosima, at least. It can't miss! Frost Augur's unstoppable. Jeez. Scry into a snow permanent. Oof. Okay, I need a 5/5 pretty badly. So I'm going to not hold up the Frost Augur mana this turn. Should have done this in the other order, but whatever. Not hold up the Frost Augur mana this turn because we know we don't have a snow card on top. Just get the damage in. Master Scald, do they have a card to get back with that? They do not. It's just a 4/4. Cool. Oh wow, Avalanche Caller is just like lethal? 1, 2, 1, 2, activate, 1, 2, activate. 2 4/4 haste, they block 1, take 4, 5, 6. Guess it's not lethal. Yeah, not lethal. Well, I could Demon Bolt. Got the mana for 1, 2, attack with one of them. I can hit for 8 damage no matter how I play this. So, feels better to just play the 5/5 then. And have surprise hasters next turn. Yeah, there's the concession from our opponent. They're super over it. We've drawn a million cards this game, and while our cards in general are pretty small, we draw enough of them, enough more than our opponent, we can combine them all together into a slow victory like we did there. So we found out how we're winning the game. Just have an uncontested Frost Augur all game long. That's all we gotta do, real simple. No removal on Frost Augur from our opponent, fingers crossed. Here we are for game 2. Let's see if we can ride a Frost Augur all the way to victory again. We'll have triple human for Lityara Kinseekers as well, if they don't kill it. Blue-red, you say? They could easily have a red spell to kill this Augur. But they don't have it yet. You love to see it. Okay, it's highly, highly unlikely that they play a 4-mana spell here, but potentially that Foretold card could get Disdainful Stroked. So we'll wait to Frost Augur until their end step. Alright, cool, close enough. They're tapped out. Hey, Frost Augur has already given us a full card worth of value at minimum. Oh, they didn't play land for turn yet, I'm dumb. That's fine, played out perfectly fine. Play another untapped blue source, so I can play Intruder and Disdainful Stroke. If I need to. Intruder double block Glade Walker seems kind of legit. How do they get us if we do that? Combat trick? Not a lot of super popular combat tricks. Foretold card is more likely just a demon bolt or something. That just gets a straight up kill anyway. I guess we're really only getting a 2/2 off the board by doing this, so I'd rather just not block. Unless they do that. Then they don't have the green mana up for the +4/+4 trick. So this should be a guaranteed kill. Yep. Sick. That was a beautiful, beautiful turn. Okay, yeah, I need another land out here to activate the auger. Frostpire Arcanist, grab another squash. Very good card. Well, we know they've got a squash coming up. Ooh. Go ahead. Squash my auger. Run ashore? I'm not going to have the mana for that in time. Exactly 1 mana off. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're just going to play an auger here. So that once this one dies, we can immediately start using the next one. Oof, down to 18. 2 damage a turn. Pretty slow clock, but a clock nonetheless. Packmate was their foretold card. I don't think I've seen a single copy of that in my drafts of the set so far. My return drafts, that is. This card is insane. The best green common by a mile. So that explains why we wouldn't see any copies. It's a very high pick. But I kind of even forgot that card was in the set. Whee! Hello, Fumarole. Goodbye, Packmate. Get 1 mana back out of this. Could use that. Oh, I get 3 mana back. Wait, what do I get? Oh, it doesn't care about the excess damage spelled. It just cares about how much snow you spent on it. That's so bonkers. I have to use one of these on a Frost Auger. Because I've only got 1 snow source untapped. Ah. Alright, well, the Kinseeker's Scry gets that out of here then for the next Auger. Kinseeker's triggers whether or not they kill an Auger here. But now they know that if they kill this untapped Auger right now, it misses. But they didn't kill it, so now we have the chance of hitting. Return up to 2. Snow Permits from your grave to hand. Doesn't really do much right now. Squash the Kinseekers? Yeah, you got it. They have 2 cards over there. We have 2 Augers to try to run away with the game. They do have a Slumber Mound, so they've got a 4/4 trample. They blow up our floodplain. Not going to highlight the non-basic because it can get people to remember that they exist. The double pack mate. Where are you finding those? They don't exist in my draft pods. They could have. I just completely disregarded them because I forgot about the card's existence. Don't recognize it by the artwork anymore. Oh, these draws. We finally started missing. Ooh, that's not a miss at all. I do not like run ashoring their current creatures on board because they both have great enter the battlefield effects if they have a third copy of Squash in their deck. So I don't need the run ashore mana up. So I can play the Avalanche Caller right now. Although, if I play it with run ashore mana up, I can save it from the removal, so I might still just wait for it. Yeah, I'm going to wait on the Avalanche Caller still. We are the full control Frostaugur deck. Probably just gotta sit here and be as patient as possible. Although I'm gonna have to start doing something pretty quick. Down to 13, taking 5 a turn. Hopefully that something is finding one of my green sources in the top half of my deck. That would be ideal. Icehide Troll is a big problem. The ice mana to keep giving it indestructible. You know what? Prove to me that you have another copy of Squash in your deck. Show me the triple Squash. Six mana means 2/4/4 haste attacks here. But then I don't play Shimmer Drift Veil. Kinda sucks. Hey! Alright, we found the green source anyway, so now I can just play that for 3 seasons next turn. Cool. Change the auto tap, please. Thank you. Win condition has arrived. We are calling the Avalanche right into our opponent's face. And Cosima, a 5/7 body's big enough to classify as a win condition, I'd say. Now we have the 3 seasons. If they kill the Avalanche Caller without exiling it, we get to put it back in our hand on Chapter 2. And there's a concession from our opponent. It is 2-0 heading into Game 3. All right, here we are for Game 3. We've got all 3 of the important colors for the deck in the opener. And a snow-covered mountain to really be confident in our mana here. Do we have any double green or double blue? We've got some double blue. So we probably Shimmer Drift on blue. I guess I've got 1 double red card. But if I draw that, I can just Replicating Ring into that. So I've got a lot more blue spells. Alright, let's just get rolling in. Come on, Guardian Gladewalker. Mono green from our opponent so far. Horizon Seeker's the play. Seeing mono green from our opponent and knowing that that is very unlikely in the set, green's one of the most multicolored colors in the format, I'm just going to Demon Bolt the Seeker and keep them from boasting into a different basic land. So from boasting into a second color. Because I highly doubt that they're actually mono green here. There's a Yorn, which is just a 3/3 with no abilities right now. Untaps all their snow permanents when he attacks, but they don't have any snow lands or anything out, so doesn't do anything. Play the Firewalker or the Icebind Pillar here. I think I just play the Firewalker since it doesn't matter if Yorn attacks us. And then I get to play just Bergstrider next turn and actually get a more profitable attack off of that. Oh no, there's the Snowland off the top to go with the Yorn and actually make the attack decent. Oh my god, the Glittering Frost with the Yorn? The Avalanche Collar, what is happening? What a bold keep from our opponent. Alright, well, I mean, obviously we have to kill Yorn because of the Glittering Frost combo. Jesus Christ, they had a trick for him too? I guess I should have double blocked, but if the trick was the +4/+4, then we would have gotten completely destroyed. Off of the double block. Wow. Alright, well. Opponent has drawn into just straight victory here. This is way too much. That doesn't matter for Run Ashore. I probably have to Replicating Ring this turn to set up a Run Ashore, which means Ring Cosima for the turn. Because if I play the Pillar, I'm also not activating that this turn. Activate a land. Send in the squad. And watch it be the +4/+4 trick this time. Nope, we actually kill the Yorn. Blade Warden. Start getting counters on the board, and Finn doesn't really do anything. Okay. So once Glade Warden gets counters, we can Run Ashore whatever they put the counters on, which is pretty great. I don't think I can exile Cosima here. It's going to be able to block a 3/3 well. Tap land is awkward. I guess it doesn't matter too much. I've got the Run Ashore or Pillar mana here, but tap land makes me want to play the land right now, so it's untapped next turn, but if I play it right now, I don't get any Cosima triggers. Pillar or hold up Run Ashore. Pillar or hold up Run Ashore. And I'm just going to die to Avalanche Caller if I don't draw one of my actual removal spells, my red burn spells. Target non-land permanent? If I return Glittering Frost and Avalanche Caller? This might be just more fancy than I'm thinking, but we'll see. They use the Glade Warden, we definitely have one good target for the Run Ashore. Yeah, so we'll have to target Finn. Okay. Make them redraw the Glittering Frost. Cast the Finn right now. I guess if their last card in hand isn't a basic land, then they'll have trouble recasting Glittering Frost right now anyway. A little bit of a gamble here, but if their last card in hand is not a basic, this is pretty great. Alright, it is not. Think I need to exile Cosima now. I'm gonna need to bring her back and get way ahead. Just do my best to survive as much as possible. If I don't draw another land just immediately next turn, I should probably just draw the one card. But if I hit a land clump here, try to turtle up as long as I can with that land clump. Gross. Snow land off the top is certainly good here. They do only have one Avalanche Caller attacker this turn, thanks to forcing the recast of the Glittering Frost. Move to combat, and we pillar down the Eyeside Troll. I can't pillar down one of their lands because the lands get hexproof anyway. Boreal Outrider. Anything they cast with snow mana comes with +1/+1 counter now. Okay, next turn we probably need to bring Cosima back. She is now big enough to block and kill 4/4s. Ew, Rune Crown is incredible. Probably my favorite pack one pick one in the format. Because there's a rune in every single color, so you can put that in literally any deck as a 3-mana equipment that draws you a card when you play it, and gets better the longer the game progresses, potentially. This card is really, really good. Very fun draft card. Now they get to eat us up with an Eyeside Troll here, but I don't have enough power to kill the Glade Warden anyway. So this way we're just taking 4 instead of 5 is the plan. Ooh, Death Touch Trample? Yikes. Kind of a wombo combo couple of abilities there to just not stop any damage. Okay, Elf Rogue Shapeshifter, so this is a scry. Not a draw card though. Avalanche Caller is the draw. The anti-Avalanche Caller tech. I need another land to get Cosima back, but gonna have to just throw all my lands back at them as blockers here. Alright, we're gonna have to pillar whatever has the crown on it every turn, which means the troll is gonna be ripping us apart. I feel like we're dying to this this crown. If they didn't have the crown, we could just keep pillaring the troll. But because I have to keep pillaring whatever the crown's on... Oh, yeah, and they could just put it on a hexproofer? Yeah, we're super dead. Sure. Disregard all previous context. This game is an absolute loss here. Go all the way back to what I said a million turns ago of the initial assessment of, well, if we don't hit a way to kill Avalanche Caller, we die. Because that is actually the case with the Rune Crown. I wasn't even thinking of those two together. The guaranteed hex-proof Death Touch Trample attacker to get past the Eye-Spine Pillar and make our blocks just useless at stopping damage. Death Touch Trample, of course, means you only have to do 1 damage to each blocking creature, and the rest of the damage just goes straight to face. So a 6/6 Death Touch Trample, I have to block with 6 creatures to stop the damage, and then I lose all 6. Man, where does everybody get these Spirit of the Alder guards? played against so many already. I guess it's only one in this draft, but I did a practice draft before. And everybody just has the incredible snow build rounds like Spirit of the Alder Guard, but in our draft pod, as you can see, no one took like a single snow land. But the snow finishers like Spirit of the Alder Guard, they're just fantastic. Were absolutely nowhere to be seen. So either none of them got opened, or the other players in our draft pod were drafting the set super incorrectly, and were like, let me draft a Spear of the Alder Guard and 0 snowlands, because, I mean, it really didn't look like anybody ever took these lands. Yeah, this Death Touch Trample Rune Crown is just disgusting. I don't even know if there's a point in playing it out. I don't think there's anything we can draw that gets out of 6/6 Death Touch Trample Hexproofs every turn. Yeah, I'm just going to move on from here. We can probably drag it out another turn or two, but I'm pretty over it. Alright, game number 4. No untapped Frost Augur mana. Tragic. White deck from our opponent. Probably aggressive, we'll see. This hand's decent against aggro. Get your crown and shove it up your butt. I don't want to see anymore. This card is busted. I would pack one, pick one that thing, but I had no opportunities to. They are Boros, which is a very aggressive color pair. Got the Oracle, slap the haste onto it. Yeah, you got it. This is not a fun start for us. Looks like this hand's decent against aggro, and then I saw the frickin' crown. And that ruins things a little bit. Bergstride it up. Could technically Fumarole and still play the Bergstrider discounted, but no point. I guess I could Fumarole to foretell the Sod coming. Fumarole foretell Sod coming, and I'm holding up Sod coming that way. Yeah, when they can haste their threats out, this seems pretty reasonable. Actually... Disdainful Stroke as the draw. Flyers are kind of a big deal. I'm going to counter that. Sure, you can kill the Augur. It's failing us anyway. It hasn't drawn anything. Being a useless little butt. Hold up the Disdainful Stroke now. Get a Scry 2. Draw a card. For 5 mana. Ring will eventually give us the 6th by itself. I kind of want to just ditch both of these. I mean, I guess Ring doesn't give us the next mana till like 8 turns from now, but... God dang it. Dwarven Hammer is the perfect 5-drop against Disdainful Stroke because it's technically not a 5-drop. It's a 3-drop, so we don't get to actually counter it. Run Ashore plays pretty well against that, but we can just stun the dwarf for now. Kill it later. Redain, the anti-snow tech. This is just anti our deck. Guess I'll die. Good rare to have this matchup, yikes. Run ashore just uncastable now. Jesus, yeah, that's a strong deck. The Basalt Ravager 2. Squash down to 1 here. Fearless Pup. Haste that out, and we're dead even with Run Ashore. Alright, 2-2. That deck was filthy. That Redain and the Runed Crown, just disgusting cards. If you learn anything from this draft, draft Runed Crown. That has been the cause of all of our defeats so far. We are 2-2 heading into Game 5. Alright, here we are for Game 5. Unfortunately, on the draw here. Green-red so far from our opponents. I think we're going to play off curve here to attempt to draw a card off of Augur. Oops, every opportunity we get. Alright, well, if I draw a card here, we're up a card. And we fail. Wow. We are never going to relive the glory days of Game 1, are we? The Frost Augur Game 1 was just insane, and then from here on, it's just done nothing. Bladewalker with the Brine Barrow Intruder up to eat the Berserker if they don't have a combat trick. In worst case scenario, it'll eat their combat trick. Okay, let's hold up. Let's hold up Intruder and Stroke. I can have triple blue up next turn, and it doesn't look like I'm going to have anything else to do with my mana anyway. I don't want to be caught in a position where they make an attack where Intruder is good. And then I still want to like counter something in their end step. So yeah, since we're just flooding out here, we can still do it all next turn. Wow. Could take the 3 seasons the slow way. Oops, to get the Augur back. The Augur in a land, probably. But the key word there is slow. Does not feel particularly good, because it's going to be pretty slow. Okay, snap counter. Alright, there's a Demon Bolt. A tiny bit less flood. Yikes. Yikes. One of our opponent's lands is a spell land here. The Notvold Slumber Mound is super helpful, preventing them from flooding. I can 4-for-1 myself here, where I block Giant with Gladewalker and then Demon Bolted in the end step. I lose Gladewalker, I lose Demon Bolt, Giant dies, and then I also lose Intruder. So it just does not seem like a winning plan. I spend every last card that I have to kill the Giant. and then die to everything else they have on board. Man, this sucks. Feels like an auto loss. They've got the trick too. Yep, just the guaranteed loss kind of game. I don't think there's any way we possibly could have played that out to win that game. And 2-3 it is. Pretty big bummer of a draft here. But that's alright, because it means we get to draft the set again. And I am a big fan of the format. Hopefully things can go a little better in the future. And some of the actual win conditions and payoffs in the endgame are going to show up instead of just infinite snowlands. Weird, awkward draft here, but our first game with the double frost auger was pretty fantastic, and those losses were pretty brutal. Some strong decks from our opponents, and then some absolute flood in that last game of Magic. So weaker draft here near the start of the Kaldheim draft, but hopefully we can turn it around in some future runs. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more on your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.